Hier ist das erste deutsche Fernsehen mit der Tagesschau.
Wenige Tage nach dem Regierungswechsel in Athen sind Verstimmungen zwischen Griechenland. Bundeskanzlerin Merkel hat sich gegen einen weiteren Schuldenerlass für Griechenland ausgesprochen.
Die Ideen aus Athen also kommen hier gar nicht gut an. Übermäßig alarmiert sind die Deutschen aber auch nicht.
Germany has repeatedly voiced its strong opposition to the change in direction of Greece's economic policy.
And the German central bank president has said he hopes the new Greek government won't make any promises that it cannot cash.
How far is Europe worried? How far, what is Angela Merkel saying over breakfast this morning in Germany? What is the ECB?
A big topic for the media this week is how the recent elections in Greece would affect Germany and the euro. To provide you with a little background, Greece had a high amount of debt before 2008, but after the Great Recession, they found it tough to pay it back. So the biggest financial powers in the Eurozone lent the country money, in return for big cuts in public spending to bring down the level of debt.
However, those spending cuts imposed by Europe's financial institutions, together known as the Troika, hit the country hard. Showing Greece's disappointment with years of cuts, the recent elections in Greece were won by anti-austerity left-wing coalition party Syriza, led by Alexis Tsipras. As you heard, the German press and politicians were concerned that, with an anti-austerity party in power, the country might not stick to its agreements.
But why are the media looking to Germany for a reaction to elections in a completely separate country, despite the fact that Greece has a significantly smaller economy? To put it simply, should Germans care about the Greek elections?
To answer these questions, political journalist for the newspaper Der Tagesspiegel, Elisa Simantka, is joining us from Athens. So, Elisa, can you give us a quick overview of what's happening in Greece?
Yes, we had the election last week on Sunday, and Syriza was winning, the left-wing party, which was, especially the people in Greece saw it coming because they were really disappointed and unhappy with their current government, which did all the Troika program we will talk about later. So it was sure that there's going to be a shift in power in some way, but no one really knew how big this shift will be. And so it was kind of a surprise that Syriza had such a clear win. This is also the reason why they are now very sure of themselves and start to renegotiate the whole program, the memorandum, how they call it over here, because there was kind of a memorandum of understanding about all these social cuts, about the privatizations, about the payback of the debt. And now they want to renegotiate it, and this is something which is not very appreciated in Europe, and especially with the German government.
Yeah, so 270 billion euros was lended to Greece from the International Monetary Fund, the European Central Bank, and the European Commission, after Greece wasn't able to borrow money through the usual means on the financial markets. So out of this 270 billion euros and all of these big financial institutions, how is Germany involved in all of that lending? What ties Germany to Greece in this case?
So Germany has, as one of the major countries in Europe, the biggest stake at the FSF, which is nearly up to a third. I'm not sure if it's 27 or 29%, but it's something about that. So they pay a big amount of this money. They already paid like 15 billion with the first program, and now that we have the second program, it's up to 144 billion all in all. And like I said, Germany has a big stake in that. So it is in the German interest to get back that money, though the Greek people see it a bit different because they're seeing other ties. They say, for example, that Germany and its export economy, which is really huge in Germany, has owned a lot of money with the Greek people making debts. So the German idea of Greek didn't have any money anymore and we were giving all to them is not so much seen alike here, because they say we wouldn't have made so much debt if we wouldn't have bought all these German products. So there's maybe a bit of a different point of view on that. But as the Germans see it, they have lent a lot of money and they want it back, and they, in a way, they want the Greek to show that they are changing things, that there are reforms, that they are trying hard, because this is the Germans think the world is working.
Do Germans really need to care who wins an election in another country?
In this case, I'd say Greece is an emotional case. It's been the only really, when you see how it was covered in the German newspapers during all that time, it's been covered in a different way than Ireland, Spain, or Portugal. Somehow it was very emotional from the beginning. There were really hard arguments, also inciting articles in the German newspapers against the Greeks, where they say they were lazy and they are corrupt and they don't like working. And on the other side, there were the Greek who were also very emotional about that case. You maybe saw now the discussions about the war reparations, about comparing Hitler and Merkel. So you cannot say that it was a very neutral discussion from the beginning. So coming up to this election now, it somehow is a result out of all this crisis, out of all these talks, and so the Germans are still interested in that. And now that the Greeks will negotiate all of it, it's coming up again. I would say in the time in between, the Germans weren't that interested anymore. And if the old government, so the Nea Dimokratia government, would have won this election, then it would have been like one day coverage in a newspaper and then forget about it, because everything stays as it is. Now that everything is open again and everyone starts to argue again, it's of course very interesting for the Germans.
Yeah, and speaking of the media coverage, The Economist ran with this story in their front cover this week. It had a picture of a Greek statue with a gun saying, "Go ahead, Angela, make my day." And it described Greece's challenge to Germany, is how it put the words on its front cover. Greece's challenge to Germany and the euro. It put Germany first, which is interesting. So how have politicians and the financial press reacted to the Greek elections and specifically their impact on Germany?
Germany is always seen as the head of this austerity management, I maybe say. So the idea that a country has to save a lot of money, that they have to do cuts, that they have to lower the pension, that they have to reduce their minimum wage, this was mainly driven by the Germans. I wouldn't say only, like they say in Greece, because I think this is too easy, but it's a way of thinking which is very popular in Germany. And you can also see that in the reactions of the politicians who are saying that there will be no renegotiating, there will be no haircut. But Germany has a very strong point in this. You saw Sigmar Gabriel, who is the leader of the Social Democrats, going together with Angela Merkel on that topic. So you could see that it's not only an issue of the conservatives in Germany, it's more or less consensus, maybe not Die Linke, which is a left-wing party which identifies themselves very much with the Syriza movement, but I think the Greens are maybe a bit divided about it, but all the other parties are going with this German narrative, and this is very strong. And it was because the Germans are seen like the head of the Troika by a lot of southern European countries.
Yes, and even at the World Economic Forum last week, Angela Merkel said it doesn't matter who wins the election as long as they pay back their debts. Wolfgang Schäuble, the finance minister, said we'll work with the new government, no problem, but they have to pay back their debts. That's a common theme.
Because they cannot say we don't want Syriza to win, because this would be really bad, because then they would have been told that they are influencing the election. But they were trying to tell the people to vote responsible, and they didn't really want to renegotiate. You could see that before the election coming.
Elisa Simantka, political journalist for Der Tagesspiegel, thank you very much for joining us here on This Week in Germany.